Michael Malice here, and let that be your welcome for the next hour. We got ourselves a major shitlord convention. I have on the line, all the way from across the pond, Count Dankula himself, the legend. For those who don't know, let me give you the brief background. You are basically the only person I know who lived what I can describe as a Kafkaesque nightmare, because you gained notoriety by teaching a pug, which is clearly a symbol of racial purity. And given how functional they are living in life, you taught it as a joke to raise his paw and give a Roman salute, let's say. And as a consequence of this, your life got turned upside down.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate, yeah.
And I want to walk through the beats because, as my listeners know, I was born in the Soviet Union. So I have, from a very early age, my parents have taught me that when you're dealing with the government, it's like the Eye of Sauron. It's the best case scenario is it's going to be a nightmare. But to have that nightmare compounded with the absurdity, it's one thing for them to say you were a drug dealer when you had like a lot of drugs in your house. You could wrap your head around that. But this is that my dog, I mean, technically the dog should be the one going to jail, possibly.
I think he's probably off to the gulag pretty soon. Ideologically, he's pretty far gone. He's beyond saving.
Those pugs, man. Wait, so
yeah, man.
Let's walk this through. How did this video get so widely viewed, and how did it reach the attention of the state?
Well, what ended up happening was I posted it on my YouTube channel, which had 8 subscribers who were all my friends that I knew in real life. And I uploaded it and it was up for weeks. And I just thought it would be fine. The problem was someone found it and actually posted it on Reddit. And it made it to the front page of Reddit. The only issue is I was actually on vacation in Iceland at the time. And this was all starting like when I was on the plane. So
Jesus.
It was this whole... Everything's blowing up back home. And even when I was in a foreign country, my phone didn't connect to their network. So I'm out getting drunk with friends in Iceland, having no idea that my life's being ruined back home.
It's like Justine Tunney.
I'm just out having a great time.
I mean, did you follow the Justine Tunney story also?
What was that, sorry?
Did you follow the Justine Tunney? Not Justine Tunney. What was her name? The one who went to Africa?
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, it was the same thing. She just makes the joke on Twitter. She's flying, and then the hashtag was "has she landed?" And because while she's gone, her life's being destroyed.
Oh yeah, I lost my job as well.
Oh wait, so you reconnect where when you land in Glasgow?
Oh yeah, no, well, it was the case when I was in Iceland. I eventually connected to the hotel Wi-Fi. Like the next morning, like waking up from a drunken stupor. And my phone notifications just started going berserk, and I was like, "What the hell's happened?" And then my girlfriend phoned me, and I was like, "Oh, hi, babe, how you doing?" And she's like, "Wire the press at the door."
Oh wow!
And I was like, "Yeah."
And
they found out where I live.
So wait, what was your answer to her?
I just sort of went. I realised that the video got quite popular, and then the press came at the door, and they were just sort of giving the whole, "Oh, we just want to hear your side of the story. We know you're a nice guy," and like a complete idiot, I was like, "Oh yeah, sure, babe, just let them in. They seem nice."
Oh my god!
Exactly. I never had any dealings with the press. Obviously, it's a lesson that some people need to learn the hard way, and I learned the hard way.
Did you hear the story of Jerome Corsi here in the States recently?
No.
So he was basically Mueller contacted him, the guy who's investigating Trump, and Jerome Corsi's, and he had some questions, and Jerome Corsi gave him his entire computer and said, "I've got nothing to hide." And now he's like under indictment and might go to jail. And it's like, how do you think? I mean, you learned this an easier lesson than Mueller. It's like, how did you think this is going to end? To everyone listening, it's like these people don't care about you. You're a means to an end. You're a story for them. And it's also funny to me, your side of the story. What story? It's a dog.
I think they tried to sort of like twist it. Like a lot of newspapers at first were trying to say that I was, Nazi, white supremacist, and all this type of stuff as well. And until they realised that basically in my younger days I was militantly far left when I was young, and they had nothing on me. I'm not now. I got better, right? But they tried their best to spin that narrative. But see, when they realised that they couldn't find anything to connect me to any of that stuff, they removed it from all of the articles, which was pretty sneaky.
But it's got to be disturbing from your point of view that you make a dopey joke, right? That it's so stupid at every level, obviously, right? And then you're reading articles about yourself, and they're trying to be like Nazi ties, and it's just, they might as well be saying you're a Martian, right? What's that feel like reading in black and white things about yourself that are not only not true but are just bizarre?
At first, I was freaking out about it because I was like, "Oh no! Like everyone in the country is going to think I'm a Nazi or a racist or a white supremacist." But see, now it still happens constantly, all the time. I mean, the Guardian again just the other day called me alt right. I'm at the point now where I'm used to it. Like I get lied about in the media all the time, so I'm just, what can you do? Like I'm just completely used to it now. At first, I freaked out, but now it's
Did
just
you
my
have
usual everyday life.
Here's the big question. Did you have friends turn on you as a consequence of this? Was this one of those, one of the things I learned in my life, I had someone who was very close to me and they passed away. And it's those crisis moments in life when you see who steps up and who runs for the fences. Obviously, this is something where there's no precedent. Like, if your friend is accused of Nazism due to his dog, what do you do? But did you have people coming out of the woodwork to support you? And then do you have people who you thought were friends who were just made it a point to distance themselves from you?
Oh no, no one distanced themselves from me. Like a lot of, see, pretty much everyone that I know, in everyday life, they all know what my comedy is like. So just everyone was on my side. Like everyone that I knew were on my side. Of course, a few ex-girlfriends used it as a reason to bitch about me more.
Oh,
But
Jesus.
like, oh yeah, that happened. Like, of course it did. But but everybody else that even people that don't like me were like, yeah, I hate the guy, but I know for a fact he's not a racist, he's not a Nazi, and all that type of stuff. So no, I never got anything like that.
I mean,
My dad was pretty angry.
yeah, but I'm sure Dad was angry. Like, what the hell's wrong with you? Not like you're a Nazi.
No, my dad was basically my dad was freaking out just because my name's all over the paper, and he's just texting me like, "You're an idiot. You're an idiot."
I really hope that the text is in the Scottish accent also, so it's EDIOT. You're an idiot. Wait, so, but the other thing is, as insane as that day was, right, and as crazy as it is to have this happen on these articles, it's one thing to be maligned in the press and become this kind of, in one sense, freak show, in the press. It's not to be like, well, what happens now that the government's involved? Like, how did you find out that there might be legal consequences?
I didn't think there was going to be at all. Like when I was in Iceland with all my friends, they were making jokes saying you're gonna have a SWAT team waiting for you at the airport as soon as the plane lands and everything. And we were sitting there like haha and laughing about it. But it was after I got back home. I think it was about 2 or 3 days later. I got the knock at the door, and I just opened it, and it was two inspectors for the police. Not just everyday beat officers, like inspectors, like high ranking police officers.
Did you immediately know what they were there for?
Oh yeah, I knew. They even said to me, I'm sure you know why we're here," and I was just like, "Yeah, I've got a pretty good idea." Yeah.
I hope that as a troll, I mean, it's very hard in those situations because it's so stressful. But was there any part of you that's wanted to invite the officers to speak to the dog directly?
Oh no, they came in and they seen the dog, and like one of them was sort of making jokes like at the dog, going, "So you're the culprit," and because they made a joke, I was like, "Oh, they're seeing the funny side. Don't worry, everything's fine." But
Right.
no, like they did say to me like, "Why don't you explain to us what happened?" And I just sort of said, made a joke video to annoy my girlfriend, taught my dog the Nazi salute. That's it. And then the police officer just so frankly just turned around to me and said, "Well, we're here to arrest you."
Oh my God.
And I started laughing because I was just like, okay, like I posted a meme. Saying, "Look, you're arrested."
That I mean, you know your memes are dank when you get arrested for them.
Oh yeah, man. Like, that's the thing. Is like even like I was in my pajamas, so I said, "Can I get changed?" You know, but before I go, so they let me get changed, and one officer is watching me getting changed. That's just standard procedure to
Yeah.
make sure I don't have a weapon hidden in my closet or something like that. And then the other officer was going around taking pictures of everything in my house.
Oh my god.
Like, yeah, which was a bit weird. I was then handcuffed because just
Yeah.
my memes are so good. I'm clearly a violent man that needs to be
Right.
restrained. And
Jesus
I
Christ.
got led outside, and the press were actually waiting outside my house. And the press knew the exact date and time of my arrest, and the only way they could have known that is if the police tipped them off.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. So they intentionally, this is very important, I think, they intentionally wanted to make a public spectacle out of you to put forth some lesson?
yeah. It's called the perp walk. See if you can get the picture of the big bad criminal in handcuffs getting led out the house.
But do
Like the
you,
cops do that for yeah.
yeah, we have that here, but do you think this was a function of showing uh, the population that we're on the job? Or do you think this is a function of saying, if it could happen to this guy, it could happen to you, so you better watch your step?
Oh, it was to send a message. That's the reason they did it. It was to send a clear message.
What do you think that message was?
I think it's a case about being offensive online or
Yeah.
hurting people's feelings because we're getting it all the time now. There's arrests happening all the time for stuff that's posted on social media and people just simply being offensive. Like we're getting an awful lot of that now in the UK. It was just sort of a sign of things to come because since it happened to me, it's only gotten worse.
That's what's scary. So people in the States, we don't have a good idea of what's going on in the UK because everyone talks about how this country's cucked and that country's cucked and all this other stuff. But we in the States, apparently, and I want to hear your thoughts, have it much better than you guys over there. Like I've seen some
Yeah.
tweets from police departments, British police departments, UK police departments, basically saying, we're watching your social media and we're rounding you people up, so be on your best behavior. And it's not a joke.
Oh yeah, it's Orwellian. They send out Orwellian tweets, and one of them was really really sinister. It was something like, "If you think you can get away with doing this online, we will find you."
Yeah.
It's just like God damn man, like Big Brother's watching you. Like it's frightening.
Do you is what is the perception of in the UK population wise? Are people supportive of this approach, or are they scared of it, or is it a mix?
I would say that the vast majority of people don't like it. There's
Okay.
even there's even people that really really don't like me that are accusing the police of just completely wasting their time on nonsense like this. You want the police to go after murderers, rapists, thieves, people who commit genuine crimes, but then you hear that so much police time and court time is being invested into a person because they posted an offensive tweet. And, and that's why everyone's like, why are you wasting your time with this nonsense? Which is
Yeah.
why the UK has an extremely bad image right now as
Yeah.
far as freedom goes. Like around the world, people view us as quite an oppressed country where freedom of speech is concerned.
Well, it's not even just oppressed. It's just it's easier for me to wrap like my background is doing work on North Korea, right? It's easier for me to understand a situation where you have no freedom of speech than a situation where you ostensibly have freedom of speech, but people are arrested for joke videos about their dog. Like that is like which it makes no sense on any level to me, because they're claiming to have we want freedom of discourse, but was the legal issue teaching the dog, or was the legal issue posting the video?
It was posting the video was the actual crime. Like you can make the video, you can film the video, but as soon as you post it on a social media platform, that is what the crime was. The act I was charged under was Section 127 of the Offensive Communications Act of 2003, which basically means if you use any kind of public service to post offensive material, you can be arrested. But it's actually the law itself is based on the really, really old 1935 Royal Mail Act, which was to stop people from sending rude telegrams to each other like that. That's what the law was. It's like,
Queen
dear
Elizabeth is
sir,
a
stop. You're a shithead. Stop.
Dear Your Majesty, stop. You are a right bitch. Stop. I think you smell. Stop. Your bloomers are dirty. Stop. That'll show her. I mean, but yeah, 35. My God. So
Yeah, like that's what it's based on.
but and here's the other point that I think is relevant is that the term offensive has absolutely no objective meaning. So
Oh
legally,
no,
it's completely arbitrary how it's enforced what's offensive. I mean, if you look at every prime minister in Britain, no matter if you're Labour or Tory, has said things that are offensive to the other party.
yeah. It's only certain kinds of speech that are being regulated heavily in a huge way. You can see that it's the areas of speech that are being attacked are the ones that are most threatening to far left ideology.
Yeah,
That's the pattern that you can see. Because it basically, when was the last time you seen anyone getting arrested for saying, screw white people, I
right.
hate white people? You don't see that. You don't see that at all. But if you say I hate insert literally any other minority here, then you get a knock at the door from the police.
There was a couple of stories that someone posted side by side. It must have been from The Guardian or one of those other great resources in the UK. And when President Trump was thinking of visiting London, they had that balloon of him. And the newspaper's like, oh my God, this is so funny. This humiliates him. It's like, okay, there's a balloon of him. They took that same balloon with Sadiq Khan, who's the mayor of London. And they just made it with Sadiq Khan instead of Donald Trump. And the same paper goes, this proves racism and this is outrageous and offensive. And it was just shameless. Like, side by side, these are two politicians. And it's like, this is hilarious and this is a war crime.
Yeah, that's one of the things. I realize that it's extremely, stupid that they're doing that, but it's really beneficial when they show their true colours. See if they're proven that they aren't being consistent, but it's a case of, I am absolutely fine with free speech. That benefits me. Oh, but this is absolutely terrible because it's against me. That is everything we need to prove that this person is not for freedom of speech. They don't care for freedom of expression. They only want their pre-approved version of what they believe speech should be, which is basically them signaling that they're an authoritarian.
Yeah,
That's what they are.
The way you could see that is whenever someone says, I believe in free speech, but.
Yes,
whenever
exactly.
you hear whenever you hear the butt brigade, I believe in democracy, but I believe we should respect minorities, but you know what's coming after that. It's going to be a complete contradiction, and this is someone who wants to have contradictory ideas in their heads. Who are the architects of this policy in the UK? Is the EU at some way involved?
The EU is in a large manner involved because obviously the primary thing that the EU is trying to push for is mass immigration. That's something that the EU wants because we need to bring that cheap labour and new voting base in. But the way that they've worked it in the UK is a lot of the main parties are pretty left wing. Or Conservatives, in my opinion, have become left wing. Scotland actually has a party called the Scottish National Party.
Nicola Sturgeon.
Don't let that national part fool you. They are literally the most left-wing party in Scotland.
And I would encourage everyone to Google photos of Nicola Sturgeon in high school because she thought she was a punk and she had this kind of weird lesbian haircut thing going.
They're fake nationalists as well. They want Scotland to become its own independent country, and they say it's because they are sick of England pushing laws and regulations upon us and we should be free to do what we want. And then they want to immediately join the EU so that the EU can push rules and regulations. They're fake nationalists. They're not nationalists by any merit.
Yeah, I don't want marching orders from London. I want them from Belgium. Oh, okay. That's freedom.
Exactly. It's like apparently independence is in their eyes choosing a different oppressor. It's like leaving an abusive relationship to go into another one.
Well, this one doesn't hit me. He just shoves me down the stairs. I've solved my getting hit problem. Yeah.
It's not so bad. I walked into a door.
Wait, so, I mean, when you're arrested, at what point are you told what the possible consequences would be? And at what point are you like, how is there? I'm sure even today you must be like, how is this real?
Oh yeah, like even the thing that really got me was they took me down. I was handcuffed. I got taken to the station, got processed, and I just got thrown in a cell. Didn't get interviewed or anything like that, just thrown in a cell. And they came in and explained that due to the nature of the crime, because it has the nice little hate crime tag added on there, that I was going to be kept in prison for court the next day.
Jesus.
So I had a nice little night in jail. And then the next day I got loaded onto a prisoner transport van where you're like handcuffed to the floor and everything, and then taken to the courthouse and put in a big communal cell when I was in with about like 12 other people in a cell that was clearly made for like 3 people.
Yeah.
And we were going around the room doing the whole, what you in for, like type of thing. And one guy was like, I got caught with a kilo of cocaine. Another guy's like, I slashed someone in the face. Another guy's like, I attacked the cops with a knife. And then it gets to me.
I did a meme. I did a meme.
The thing was, I was like...
I was on Reddit. I'm arrested because of Reddit. How a badass am I? Hey, you guys think you're tough? I was on the front page of Reddit with more upvotes than the latest Trump meme. Oh my God.
I'm the top guy in this wing. Don't fuck with me.
My memes are the dankest. Oh my God. Wow.
No, but that was... They just laughed at me, man. Like, they legitimately just laughed their heads off at me. And some of them were even like, oh, that was you. Like, they heard about it and everything. So, but see, the thing that was even funnier was I got a court-appointed lawyer who's my lawyer now. He's on my legal team just now. And it was a case of they came in and collected me to go meet my lawyer. And this was my first time ever meeting him. And he's got a great sense of humour. Because I get led into that little, room where you're like sealed in a little glass box with the holes in it so you can talk to him.
Oh,
and he's
God.
sitting working on paperwork, and I just sat there in silence for about 15 seconds, letting him get on with it. And then he just looks up at me and goes, "Shalom."
Was he Jewish?
But no, he wasn't. He was just trying to mess with me.
Well, shalom also means Dankula. That also means goodbye. So that could be a very scary thing.
But that was the thing is, as soon as he done it, I was like, oh, shit. Like, I'm screwed.
Well, then maybe he was secretly Mossad. You don't know. They've accused Laura Loomer of being secretly Mossad. Have you heard this?
I've been accused of being paid by Mossad. Yeah, apparently I'm controlled opposition.
Oh, my God.
Which I'm going to ask them about because I haven't seen a single shekel. Not a single shekel.
Wait.
There's my money.
No, yes, you have. You had a GoFundMe, thankfully.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. So when you're talking to the lawyer, is it running through your head, how am I going to pay for all this stuff? Or are you worried court appointed probably means not effectual? I mean, what's your thought process?
Well, the first time around, like, even though I wasn't working and I had no money, my appeal for legal aid got declined.
Wow.
Even though I wasn't actually married to my girlfriend, they said that because she's working, she was to pay for my legal fees.
Wow.
Even though we weren't married.
Right.
But the thing that happened as well was the police forced her to appear as a witness against me.
Wow.
And basically the thing that was funny was the courts were saying, we are going to force you to appear as a witness against your boyfriend. If you don't appear as a witness, you will be arrested. Also, you have to pay for all of his legal fees.
Wow.
That's what they tried to do.
I want to tell you guys about InfiniteCBD.com, which is the cleanest, healthiest, and purest form of CBD available. CBD has become more popular. You're seeing it everywhere, and it's because the stuff works. It gives you the benefits of marijuana without getting high. If you take the PM pills, for example, it's got CBD with melatonin, helps you get to sleep. But in the morning, you could take the AM pills, which has CBD and caffeine to help you get work done. The topical cream, I've tried this. If you're sore, if you got DOMS from the gym, delayed onset muscle soreness, if you use their freezing point topical cream, it soothes, it makes you feel great. They've got a double extraction method that they follow to refine the CBD, which means that their products are over 99% CBD. Other companies use CBD oil, but this is pure CBD isolate, and it's the highest quality product you can get. And according to studies, 42% of CBD users have stopped taking traditional medications. Now, if you go to InfiniteCBD.com and use code WELCOME15, during December, you get 30% off. Not too shabby. So stock up for next year. Great gifts. Oh, you got me CBD. InfiniteCBD.com, promo code WELCOME15, and you get 30% off all month. Well, I just like that they need a witness when everything's on video. Like,
exactly. Like,
we have the video. It's not in dispute. It's posted from my account. That's not in dispute. But what I also want to point out to people here is to especially people on the right, a lot of people think, you just trust the cops, trust the state. They will use any mechanism they can to get a conviction. And if someone is poor and they know that person is poor, they don't care. They don't want justice. They want it to this is an opportunity for them to get that person to fold and buckle. I mean, was there clearly a sense on your part that they were trying to make an example out of you?
Oh, the one of the people that gave evidence at my trial was an officer from Scotland's cybercrime intelligence division.
Wait, they called the cyber police? They backtraced it?
These are the guys that catch pedophiles and terrorists,
oh my
right?
God.
And he was there giving evidence at my trial. But see, the thing is, like, God bless him. See, throughout the entire thing, you could tell that this guy was just sitting there going, "This is completely beneath me. Why am I here?"
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
just totally get that vibe from him. But he ended up, no joke, he actually had to explain for the court what a dank meme was.
He didn't. Oh my God.
Yeah, I swear to God.
What did he say? What was his definition?
The thing, that's what made everybody angry. He got it wrong. He said it's a picture or video that's funny, and we were sitting, everyone in the court shaking his head at him, going, "It's so much more. It's so much more than that. It's so much deeper."
Shut up, boomer.
Like, no, that was funny. That was funny, man. But like, I felt bad for the guy because you could tell he didn't want to be there. Like, he just felt that it was completely beneath him.
I mean, what was the possibility? What was the worst case scenario?
The worst case scenario was a year in prison.
Wow. And at what point were you actually making plans mentally for like girding yourself for that possibility?
Yeah, I was. I basically had a sort of plan of action that I made with my mum and dad and like with my girlfriend in my house and all that and financials and stuff like that. I basically went, okay, then if this goes ahead, everything's taken care of, everything's fine. I'll do my time. I'll get back out. But the only problem was it got to the point where I couldn't discuss it at all with my girlfriend or my mum because anytime I did, they would just start crying.
Oh,
they would anytime it got brought up. So it got to the point where I just stopped discussing it with them completely because they would just get really upset and start crying.
Yeah, and that's another technique that they do. They have no problem if they can't get at you directly. They're going to get at you through your family. Maybe not your mom in this case, but certainly your girlfriend. Right? It's like, what's the weak spot in the armor, the chink in the armor? I'm going to use that word intentionally. What's the chink in the armor that we can get to find this guy's weak spot to get him to breaks, to save us time and energy and get him to lose? I mean, it's an adversarial court system by definition. That's how it's set up. They are trying to break you, and they say this explicitly.
Oh, this was the thing that happened as well. Like, see how obviously the cybercrime intelligence division guy was there. That means that obviously they have looked through every single fiber and atom of my entire online internet presence, going back to when I first used the internet. They've obviously went through absolutely everything, looking for any inklings of right wing, and they found nothing. They found absolutely nothing. Like they didn't get a single thing. So that's how they were. That's how they. And even when I faced off against the prosecutor, see when it became me versus him. When I was in the stand versus him, I annihilated him. And he was so angry at losing to me. He was so upset. Even afterwards, my lawyer was saying to me, like, "You're in the wrong job." Like, because I totally trounced the prosecutor. And the prosecutor was extremely upset about, getting beaten in a courtroom by a shitlord.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lord outranks a commoner, no matter how high, even they're just a magistrate. I mean, you not only were you born a count, you earned that title.
Yeah.
Sire. I'm glad you can laugh about it because there are, and I think that's the only, when dealing with absurdity, and Camus talks about this a lot, the philosopher Camus, there has to be that sense of laughter because when you stop and realize how darkly absurd it is absolutely the arbitrariness, the shamelessness, the relentlessness. It's each of those elements is terrifying in their own, but when you combine them, it's exponentially worse. So let's look at the positive side. Let's talk about this GoFundMe, because obviously the legal cost is going to be a huge concern, as well as the jail time. How did that get set up, and how quickly did you get that funded?
This was the case was like after it went through, we said we're going to start the appeal process, and I was like, well, appeals cost money, so I'll need to get money together. So a GoFundMe got set up, and my lawyer estimated, like, see, because of the people we were bringing in, like some of them, when it comes to law, these lawyers are heavy hitters. They're quite well known. So my lawyer said we estimate it's probably going to be about 100 grand, right? And so far, the GoFundMe, we hit that target in, I think it was 28 hours. The target get hit, and then it's just been accruing more since then. So we've got almost double that.
When were you sitting there just hitting F5 the whole time, watching the numbers go up?
I was just shocked. I was just blown away. I just sort of sat there in complete disbelief because I was sitting there thinking, 100 grand is a stupidly absurd amount of money. There is no way that we're going to be able to come up with that. And then we had it in 28 hours, and I was just sort of sitting there in complete disbelief.
I think I
just couldn't believe it.
I think I might have actually started crying if it was me, because knowing that strangers around the world are giving you money to save your life, and they've never met you, and you're just a regular guy, and to do it this quickly, and they're just saying, hey, you made a dumb video. Your life shouldn't be in danger. To have them put their money where their mouth is. We all talk about how the internet's a dark place, and social media and negativity, but people often don't talk about how much positivity there is. And the fact that so many people were willing to, cut those checks, and I'm sure some of the amounts were pretty big too, individually. It's stunning, and it's humbling.
I have endless appreciation for everyone that came forward to help me fight against this. I basically can't really put into words how thankful I am that these people really went out of their way and parted with their hard-earned money to help me out. I honestly don't have words to actually show how thankful I am for the people that did that.
Yeah, because it's just someone sat at home, saw this story, and rather than just sit on their ass and not get involved, they thought, you know what, this isn't right, and I can do something. Maybe it's just £5 or whatever, but it's still something. I'm going to do something to make sure that this isn't going to continue. And it actually worked. And this is this is like a Hollywood movie, you know what I mean? You have the state, this diabolical state, against some guy with one of the stupidest videos of all time, and now possibly going to jail. And to have, again, strangers just hit a click and be like, no, not on my watch. It's just amazing.
I think a lot of people in the UK are actually quite afraid that it could happen to them.
Yeah.
You see, an argument that a lot of people use, there's people that have interviewed people on the street in regards to my video, where some people have went, oh, I think it's disgraceful. I think it's horrible that he did that. And yeah, the police should have got involved. And they always turn around and ask them, have you ever told an offensive joke? And that's when the person goes, and it's like, well, you have. Why don't you deserve prison? Why does he deserve prison? Who decides what jokes are jail worthy?
It's
it's
not even just jail worthy. It's like, who deserves that knock on the door? That in and of itself is disturbing and scary. To be like, hey, by the way, we're watching you. That in and of itself is unacceptable.
See if it's just for stuff that someone has said. If you've stolen something, if you've robbed a shop, or if you beat someone up, that yes, absolutely, the cops should come to your door, because you're expecting it. If you punch someone, you're probably sitting at home going, the cops are probably going to come to my door for me getting into that fight. You expect it, but you have an understanding as to why. But see, when they came to my door and went, it's for that video, I was just kind of in disbelief, just sort of, why are you wasting your time on this?
And let's take it to a more serious place. Let's suppose someone said some kind of offensive slur to somebody else, right? Just genuinely offensive and inappropriate. There's no unambiguous. The idea that the next day the cops would come to your door and say, you called this person a slur, are you going to apologize? Even that's insane. What? What, you called the cops because I called you a very bad name? This is madness.
That's grounds enough here in the UK, but here's the thing is, even calling someone a slur, you don't even need to go that far. See, in the police's hate crime operational guidance handbook, the thing that matters mainly is the perception of the victim. So, say for example, I'm walking down the street and a guy is walking towards me, and we accidentally bang into each other, and I say, watch where you're going, in an angry voice, and then walk away from him. See if that guy was, for example, gay. See if he perceives that I did that because I don't like him because he's gay. That's enough for an arrest.
Good
Even though I
lord.
didn't say, a homophobic slur, I didn't say any of that stuff. See if the victim goes to the cops and says, I think he did that because I'm gay. That's it. That's enough for an arrest. And that is in the police's hate crime operational guidance handbook. If you don't believe me, look it up. It's in there.
Let's talk about Britain being hopeless and done, and the UK being done. Because I've had this argument with people. I'm a big optimist. And the example I always use is, and you're going to have much more information about this, so if I'm being ignorant, please let me know. The example I always hear is, that I use, is 1979. When Thatcher came in to be prime minister, Britain was in decline. The British Empire was over. It was a given that UK was done, and the prime minister's role was to have a managed decline. And she said, "Fuck that! I can't bear to see this. There's, have faith in Britain." And it came back to a large extent. And part of me is thinking this is a similar situation, that if you're counting, the history of the British people, the Scottish people is Braveheart. It's legendary, these things. So the idea that they're going to be defeated this quickly by these people who are genuinely upset at a pug, like, I can't accept that that England's going to be done that quick.
See, we live in an age where I don't know. We've decided to go. There's names for it, but people are trying to call it Generation Baby.
Yeah,
that's what it is. It's these people who've had it so damn good in life that they think an offensive joke that hurts their feelings is the end of the world, and this person must be punished because they hurt my feelings. Okay, your feelings got hurt. You'll be fine. I'm pretty sure you'll be fine. You don't need counselling. You don't need to go to the hospital. But for some reason, you think it's justified for this person to go to prison or lose their job and all these other things because your feelings got hurt. That's malevolent.
yeah.
That's actually pretty evil thing to want for a person. Like, I've had people see, for example, there's a lot of sectarianism in Scotland. You've got the Catholics and the Protestants, and I'm from a Catholic background, and I went to a Protestant school, so I get called a Fenian an awful lot, which is essentially the Catholic equivalent of the N-word for us. Yeah. So I get called a Fenian an awful lot. I had songs sang at me, which were, not very nice. But the thing is, you can be arrested now for singing these songs. If someone calls me a Fenian now, they can be arrested.
That's
and all that for it. And but the problem was, it got to the point where we were battling in the streets. There was people fighting with knives and machetes and stuff, and it was getting really bad. So they wanted to bring laws in to sort of lower the antagonization between both sides. And then it's a case of, no, these people still hate each other. They'll still attack each other with knives and so on.
Yeah.
They just won't say anything about it.
Hello, sir.
It's still there. You didn't remove it. The hatred is still there. And that's the thing. I see any people that I've spoken to that are genuinely racist and have been charged under hate speech laws. See, the vast majority of them, I'm like, did you being arrested and charged change your opinion? And probably about 80% of the time, their answer was, no, it makes me hate them more.
Of course. If me saying things to somebody, and as a consequence, I get taken away from my family, lose my job, I'm not going to be like, oh, these are benevolent people who are just like me. No, it's going to be like, these people are my enemy, and they've proved it.
It breeds more hatred. It breeds more hatred. The root of racism in itself is victimhood and a need to feel like you need to defend, your identity or your race. That is the root of it. And it used to be back in the days, how come, migrants get preferential treatment when it comes to welfare? They get preferential treatment for X, Y, Z. Racism can stem and breed from that, where it's a case of, how are they getting this? But me, a white man, I'm not getting it.
Yeah.
It can come from that. And now it's a case as well where our laws are so biased in favour of protecting the feelings of minorities, where the average everyday person can get arrested on the street just for something that they say. All that is going to do is breed even more racism. And it's happening. Racism is on the rise. And it's these things being forced down everybody's throats that is causing it.
How can you not have tension in a literal sense of the word tension, the most basic sense of the word tension, when people who are around you have the capacity to get you arrested if you bump into them? Of course you're going to be tense. Like, I'm going to be scared at any minute that I look at someone the wrong way and they're going to snap their fingers, and all of a sudden what's happened to you is happening to me.
Yeah. That's the way it can happen. But
yeah. So
like
you and Sargon and Paul Joseph Watson famously joined UKIP.
Yeah.
And right now it's in a bit of chaos, it looks like. Faraj just quit. What's going on there? Can you explain to the people over here across the pond?
The way it happened was Gerald Bratton is quite close with Tommy Robinson. Nigel Farage doesn't like Tommy Robinson now. The reason for that is I feel that Nigel Farage is a very rational person. I feel he is. He knows his stuff. He knows what he's talking about. But he was spewing a few mainstream media points in regards to Robinson. And when I was reading and hearing some of the stuff he was saying, I was kind of going, come on now, you know that's not true.
You should know better.
Nigel,
yeah, because you get accused of being a closet Nazi yourself, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that's why I ended up getting to the point where I believe it's purely about optics. It's just all about optics. Basically, I've hung around with Tommy Robinson. I know his true opinions. I know his true feelings. He just doesn't think before he speaks.
Okay.
Sometimes, because I've had heart-to-hearts with him, and he's not a Nazi. He's not a racist. He's none of those things. He's just very, British culture orientated. Sometimes he doesn't think before he speaks, and he doesn't come off well. But that's why when Nigel was saying that, so that's why. But the media hate him. The media hate Tommy. Tommy Robinson is the media's boogeyman, and the media love a boogeyman. So I think Nigel deep down knows, Tommy Robinson isn't any of these things the media says, but for the sake of the image of the party, I want him gone. I don't want him to have a part in the party, because it's a case of, it's totally not fair that the media has painted you as this, even though I personally know it's not true, but you can't play with us because you're the leper kid.
Yeah, you're right.
It's kind of like having the kid. See how the kid at school that is actually a cool guy, but he gets bullied by everyone.
Oh yeah.
And you do feel for him and you agree with him, but you're like, oh, but you can't hang out with us because we'll get bullied too.
Yeah,
like
Joseph.
That's pretty much what
his name was Joseph Namius in my school. I ran into him after, and he was fine, and I feel very bad. So apologies to you, Joseph. Guys, meat in the U.S. is cheap, and today over 80% of beef is controlled by just 4 companies. 84% of meat is processed. 84% of beef is sold from industrialized processes, and these companies don't want you to know the source. Let me tell you about Crowd Cow. They do it differently. They give you full transparency because they work with independent farms. And what you want to remember is crowdcow.com/you're welcome. While you are welcome, you get $25 off your first offer. Here's why I recommend them. Their goal is to help you discover and enjoy the best meat from independent farms. Not only do you know exactly where your meat comes from and how it's raised, but it's healthy for you and it tastes better. And they've got this Japanese beef. I don't like fatty meat because I'm a pleb when it comes to food. Go to the website, crowdcow.com/you're welcome. You look at this meat. It looks like it's from another species. It's so fatty and marbled. It's crazy. And it's sourced exclusively from Japan. They were smart. They gave us free steaks so that we know what we're talking about. I brought them to Friendsgiving. My friends cooked them up because I'm not cooking. And it was perfect. And I was like, oh my God, this steak is so good. I'm like, yeah, I know a guy. Because if you go to crowdcow.com/you're welcome, you can pick the farm and you can pick the meat. Let's get back into it. What is going on with, from our perspective, Brexit looks like a complete debacle. And it looks like Theresa May might be one of the most ineffectual leaders the UK has ever seen.
Oh, she absolutely is. It's actually at the point where we almost kind of wanted to keep going, because what we want is a hard Brexit. Just no ifs, no buts, no coconuts. We're gone. And Theresa May is ballsing this up so much that we might just get that by default.
Right.
So that's
I see.
How
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah. So that's how we kind of just keep going, Theresa. Like, your absolute failure as a leader is probably going to deliver what we want, and it's going to be through. She's not tried to deliver it. She's just been absolutely atrocious. So she won't get our thanks for it because she tried to prevent it, but she screwed up so badly that we might end up getting what we want. Does anyone like her or respect her there? Is it like, like in here we have like Mitt Romney, right? And Mitt Romney is like kind of people who are like suburbs and moderates.
think he's a good businessman. But from my perspective, it looks like literally everyone thinks this woman's a clown.
Yeah, we are the party that we're probably most opposed to is Labour. But even us and the Labour guys are sort of giving a nod to each other, going,
Okay.
Theresa May's got to go. That's the one of the very few things that we agree on. And even most of the Conservative Party want Theresa May gone because she's completely screwing this up. She's got no place being a leader. She's done nothing but capitulate and bend the knee to the EU, which basically doesn't look good for. We're supposed to be, a proud nation, Britain. Here we are bending the knee to the Germans. I'm pretty sure we had a little bit of a scuffle with the Germans not so long ago to prevent that very thing from happening. and now here we go. There must be. I'm quite happy. I know it sounds bad. I'm probably quite happy that a lot of the World War II veterans have passed away at this point because they would be absolutely sickened to see their country doing this.
In all fairness, though, do you agree that she should be going to jail under the Hate Crimes Act because of her dancing?
But she definitely deserves criticism for that dancing, but maybe not prison.
But the thing is, you can't beat someone with no one, right? And here's the other question: joining UKIP. Isn't UKIP basically a one-issue party, and now that Brexit is going to happen one way or another, they've pulled the trigger? What's the purpose of the party's existence?
That's the thing, is that they were a one-issue party. They're still relevant because they wanted just a full-on Brexit, and the elite of this country are trying their hardest to prevent that from happening because even though it passed by democratic vote, it's not in their best interest, so they kind of want to reverse a democratic vote, which is a terrifying thing for the leaders of a country to be able to do. They only believe in democracy when it goes their way. So it's at the point now where UKIP is still relevant, and see until Brexit is actually fully done and final, then that'll be, UKIP's primary issue dealt with. But UKIP is now becoming a multiple issue party.
Okay.
Brexit still is the primary focus, but it's at the point now where UKIP has a bit of clout. Why not use that clout to right a few other wrongs? They were a single issue party, but that's starting to change.
What are the other issues your party's supporting?
It's private freedom of speech is another one as well. There's a lot of areas of government regulation which is completely unnecessary. Basically undoing a lot of the laws that the EU have imposed on us as well, because see, the vast majority of laws that have been imposed on Britain over the last few decades, they've all been from the EU, because we've got this foreign body deciding our country's laws. And when I was in, to give you an example of how far the EU regulation goes, when I was in Strasbourg at the European Parliament, there was votes going on, and one of the votes was to establish a police force to protect the forests, so tree police. And another one that they tried to do as well was, and this was, I think this was Poland, they tried to introduce a regulation. They tried, I swear to God, this is true. Right? They tried
wait, I'm just laughing at the badge. Like when they knock on your door, "Hi, I'm John Smith, tree cop."
Yeah. Your son was seen breaking a branch off an oak this morning.
Come with me for a whipping. Oh my God.
But this was the thing is as well. In Poland, they tried to introduce legislation so that candle makers could only make their wicks so long. They literally tried to regulate the length of candle wicks. Pick any area of life, and the EU want to regulate it.
Yeah.
That's just complete. Yeah. See how everything that I am against, like overreaching government and state control, that is everything that the EU is about. That's why, and countries are resisting this because they don't like it. They see it as overbearing and unnecessary, which is why you're getting MEPs like Guy Verhofstadt giving this very, very Fourth Reich style speech, screaming, going, these countries need to hand over their sovereignty and their power to the European Union. And it's the only thing that was missing at the end was him saying, "Ein Reich, ein Volk, ein Deutschland." Right? That was the only thing that was missing.
The only thing that was missing was your dog.
Yeah, exactly. Buddha sitting next to him, nodding his head in agreement.
Good luck. But that's the other thing. It's just coming from the States is like any EU is going to be extremely disproportionately at the control of Germany, right? It's the biggest power, you know, the biggest economic power. When the crisis was happening with Greece, it was all up to Merkel about how to handle it. So it was, okay, you fought the Kaiser, you fought Hitler, and now you're willingly saying, hey, let's just do what Germany wants, but they'll be nice this time. Maybe they are being nice this time, but at the very least, it should be on a case-by-case basis as opposed to like, we're just going to hand them the keys and hope for the best.
That's pretty much like what we've done. We've handed like power over our laws to a foreign nation. They get to go, you will take refugees. And it's a case of like, see, right now we have a housing crisis here. There aren't enough homes to go around. The job situation, especially in Scotland, is really, really bad. And it's a case of you will take these 10,000 refugees, and it's like, where are we going to put them? Like, we don't. There are not enough houses and jobs to go around, and it's the case of like a lot of people are saying, oh well, you can just put them on welfare then. And it's a case of, well, if there aren't people in jobs like paying their income tax, like where the hell's the welfare going to come from? It's an unsustainable system.
Well, it's also the idea of what happens when you have young males with no jobs, no prospect of jobs, and a lot of spare time. It's not going to be, they're going to be beautifying the national parks.
Yeah, exactly. We've got a serious problem with that as well. Like I did it a lot when I was a kid as well. You know,
course.
I used to skateboard. I used to spray paint. You know, I got beaten up off my dad for smashing windows a few times.
Yeah.
Just kid stuff. But that's the case of like there is nothing for them to do. Like, see if you have so many displaced young adults, especially when they're not working and they are on welfare. You don't get to sit there and scratch your head going, why is there so much crime?
Yeah. They're going to be... in all seriousness, it's the same thing with dogs. Like, if you have all these... if you have no, I'm not joking. If you have a bunch of dogs and you don't let them do anything, dogs get destructive. They chew up the furniture. They start digging holes. Any animal that has a mind, that has no outlet for that mind, is going to start putting that energy somewhere. I mean, you're not going to expect them to just sit at home beyond their recliner. They're going to have some outlet that's going to be either positive and we want in a good direction, but if that's banned for them, it's going to go in a negative direction. This is just nature.
Yeah, no, that's true. Basically, there are a lot of young people that do need an outlet. They don't have anything to do. Like, one thing that's crucial for like every single person in order to get any kind of enjoyment or satisfaction from life is a purpose.
Yeah.
A purpose. Nobody wants to feel meaningless. Nobody wants to feel like, but why am I here? Like,
oh, I thought you meant a dolphin. I thought you said a porpoise. I want a porpoise. I'll keep it in my bathtub.
It's the accent, sorry, man.
Don't tell us about a porpoise. Today's episode is sponsored by HeshiSocks.com. Do I really need to tell you how much I love Heshi Socks? I think you understand at this point how much I love HESHI Socks.com. They're the most comfortable kick-ass fashion socks for work or play. I wear them every day. They're my house socks. Regular socks don't provide protection and they cause your feet to hurt. But Heshi Socks, HESHI, are like pillows for your feet. So if you're wearing nice shoes, your feet hurt, sneakers, wear the Heshi Socks. Here's why they're great. They're cushioned in the footbed, heel and toe for maximum comfort. They're made with high-end Pima cotton, which is really soft, but it's also breathable if your feet smell, because they won't wearing Heshi Socks. They're antimicrobial. It kills the bacteria and keeps their feet from stinking. They've got all these different styles. You got the basic stuff, you got the fashion stuff, wear them to work, wear them to the gym. If you go to HeshiSocks.com, HESHI Socks.com, and use promo code WELCOME30, you get 30% off, and their prices are already decent to begin with. So that's HeshiSocks.com, WELCOME30. I see you have a lot of tattoos. How many do you have, or have you lost count?
I've lost count. I've no idea.
I've got a question, and I'm scared to ask, but I'm sure it is. Did they ask you to explain the meaning of every one of your tattoos when they were interrogating you?
The whole like tattoos thing. I know that in America, whenever you get arrested, you've got a lot of tattoos. Sometimes the cops will analyze them to make sure there's no gang symbols and all that like type of stuff. In Scotland, there is a small element of that, but it's nowhere near enough for the cops to analyze all of your tattoos. It's a case of, your gang sometimes in Scotland relates to either the area that you're from or your last name. Like, that's what usually dictates it in Scotland.
Oh, so they didn't go through it with a fine-tooth comb asking for okay, so that's the ones what. So
Nah.
are you completely scot-free now legally?
Oh no, no. The way it works is we have an appeals process. Now this is a bit complicated, so I'll try and explain it. Now I was tried in the sheriff appeal court, the sheriff court, which is the lowest form of court that we have, and then after that you get the high court, and the high court takes the big serious stuff like murders and all that type of stuff as well. And if you get convicted in the sheriff court, there's a new system where you can appeal to the sheriff court of appeals, and you get two chances, which is the sift process. On your first chance, it gets reviewed by one judge. On the second chance, it gets reviewed by three judges. And the whole point of the sift process is to stop people wasting the appeal court's time. You know, it's the equivalent of
Yeah,
a guy walking into the police station holding his wife's head
yeah,
and then gives them a USB containing a video of him doing it and
yeah.
then going, I want to appeal.
Right,
Like,
right.
so that's why they do it. But I got rejected on both occasions, and on the
Wow.
first occasion, the judge's rejection letter was just sheer bile. He even threatened my lawyer
Oh
and
my
everything in
gosh.
it as well, saying that my lawyer should be charged with contempt of court. And my lawyer was even reading it, going, "What, for doing my job?"
Well, I mean,
And then
contempt is warranted here,
yeah,
don't you think? A little contempt for this absurdity.
yeah, there is probably a little bit of that due.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of that is due, but ended up I get rejected on both stages. So what happens is my punishment is still live, and my punishment was an £800 fine, which I've refused to pay.
Good.
But there is another little known area of law which I can't talk about too much
Okay.
because me and my legal team haven't made a public release for this yet because we don't really want to show all of our cards just
Of
yet. But
course.
there's a little known route of appeal that almost never gets granted because the requirements for it are really specific. But we went down that route and I met the requirements and mine got granted.
Wow.
So it's a case of we should now get a hearing at the High Court, I believe, and they'll basically we get to do a hearing of this is why you should take our case. Here are all the problems with the case, and then what happens is the High Court, if they go, yeah, everything about this case is screwed up. Yeah, cool. We'll hear your appeal.
So
So that's what will happen.
your GoFundMe is still live, correct?
Yeah, it's still
So
live.
you're gonna DM me the link, and I'll have that in the show description so people could contribute to you to help fund this and make sure that the Angels win this horrific situation. But you're free and clear in terms of jail time, correct? That's not a possibility any
Uh,
longer.
no, me refusing to pay the fine will result in me going to jail, but I'm not doing it out of principle. The fine was supposed to be paid by the 26th of October.
Okay.
So obviously we're on the 11th of December now. But the thing that was actually kind of funny, this made a few people mad about me doing this, was 2 weeks after I didn't pay the fine, I was just sort of sitting in the house like, well, where are they? You know, like technically I'm wanted, so I called the cops on myself just to try
No,
and
you
get it over
didn't.
and
Did you
done with.
really?
I called them and I just went, have you guys got the correct address for me? And like I went through and confirmed all my details
Wait.
with them.
It'd
And they
be
were like,
funny if you're like, "Is there a reward? Because I think I know where this guy lives."
I'd like to hand myself in.
Yeah. Where's my check?
But that,
Yeah.
but that was the thing is I called them and I went, yeah, and they said, we can see here that you've not paid your fine and it's past the due date. And I was just like, yep, that's true. I did that on purpose. And no joke, they said, we're not going to come and get you until your name flags up on the computer.
Wow.
And I was like, but I'm on the phone with you right now.
A phone's a
Like,
kind of computer.
yeah, I'm a wanted criminal on the phone with you right now. And they were just kind of like, no, sorry, bye.
Can't help
Like,
you.
yeah. It's like,
But I'll
what
do
the
it
hell?
again. I won't stop shit posting. Don't you understand? No remorse. I have a problem, and I can't stop. Won't stop.
But so that was it. But the thing was, at any second, like right now, they could come to the door. They could come to the door and take me away. So this is a case of, I'm just sort of living now, knowing that any point I could get a knock at the door and that's me taken away.
Wow.
So I'm just sort of sitting around. I hope they don't do it right before my wedding.
Yeah.
That's gonna suck.
How are you paying for food and things like this?
As YouTube, I did use Patreon, but I'm sure you heard about all the nonsense that's
Of
happened
course.
with Patreon. So we're all in the process of moving away from that, and very, very, very rarely I get a monetized video on YouTube.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's what I'm using to support myself. But I'm actually doing okay. Like
Good.
I used to work in private security, but obviously due to the whole press thing, I couldn't do that anymore.
But that's got to be a relief also, knowing that you have people who are putting their money where their mouth is and making sure you have a roof over your head.
Oh yeah, I'm quite happy. That's why I'm trying to sort of pay it back by making content and all
Yeah.
that type of stuff, like sort of pumping videos out. I'm trying to get out at least one video a week, and
Maintain,
I'm
maintain,
always writing
maintaining a porpoise tank is not cheap.
videos.
You got to get the fish to feed them. You got to get the salt water. Okay, we got time for a couple more questions quickly. What you're the world authority on this? What are the components of a dank meme?
Oh god, it's like dank in itself can have multiple meanings. One of the main reason that I apply it is it's a meme or a video or an image that has been made badly on purpose.
Okay.
Like it's the way it's been poorly constructed is part of the joke. It's not the joke itself. It's just an addition. This is some deep lore we're
Yeah.
getting into.
Well,
By the way,
my
this
show
is
is called You're Welcome. YOUR. And
yeah.
every day I'll have people tell me you're spelling it wrong. I'm like, I am an author. I don't correct them, but it's like, yeah, sometimes the mistakes are there on purpose, on porpoise. Excuse me. Okay, so it's got to be badly made on purpose.
Yeah.
What are some of the?
That's
Go ahead.
that's pretty much it. Like the dank part is pretty much it, but it's badly made, like on purpose though.
What are some of the memes that you see that drive you absolutely crazy in terms of how shitty they are?
Um,
Because there's a lot of shite out there.
I hate minion memes. See how minions?
Oh,
I hate
yeah.
them, and it's always seen as the minion memes are associated with single mothers and stuff like that, like posting minion memes because they think it's funny. Like I swear to God, my mum keeps sending me minion memes, and I keep telling her to fuck off. Like, stop sending me those. It's literally my most hated meme, and she keeps doing it.
Wait a minute. The troll's mom is trolling the troll very successfully.
Yeah,
Oh, maybe he'll like this
yeah,
one. This one will be funny for him. No.
yeah. That was the thing. Is she keeps going, "Oh, come on, they're funny," and it's like, no, they're not. They're literally the worst kind. They are bottom of the barrel. So in my circles, you would get shot for posting one of those, right?
Oh, that's amazing. That is well. Thank you so much for taking the time, and I thank you for. I don't know about like it's very unfortunate that you're in the position that you're in. You know what I mean? If any of us could have waved a magic wand, you would just be some guy in Scotland just living his life. And it's kind of sad that you were put into this insane, Kafka-esque position. But I'm glad it's working out for you in the sense that you're not alone in the cold and people are rallying around you.
Yeah, like the thing is, I would do it all over again because it did highlight a really, really important problem that our country actually has, and I'm hoping that my case getting out there and everybody seeing it, and then paying attention to me and the other cases that I talk about, I'm hoping that more and more people start to realise, okay, this is getting pretty bad. We all need to do something about
Yeah.
it, and that's starting to happen. And I think that the state are realising that and pushing back on it a little bit. But let's just hope we can build this into a bit of a tidal wave that they can't stop because everybody likes freedom.
Yeah.
You
right.
know, and I would kind of like to bring that stuff back.
And even though I went to yeshiva, I promise that if I ever get a dog, he'll be woke to the JQ. I promise that to you, sire. Thank you again. Thank you so much. And I'll have the links to for people to contribute, which I think is really important. And I'll see you all next week. You are welcome. Yeah, keep it up, dude. I mean, like.